All right, guys, we are live. It looks like, yep, we are live. Don't think that we are intimidated by the 3,300 people watching SCI's virtual right now. Actually, I totally forgot that was this week. But you know what? Don't care about any of that. We're here to pull the 3,000 people that Jeff Wilson has got over there. I'm kidding, Jeff. But yeah, no, I'm really, really excited to have a guy on that I had back in June. A lot of you know him, Dakota, Sportscard Anonymous channel. We have a lot of things in common. So I wanted to bring him on, just kind of regroup, talk about some things. Where is our head as far as the hobby goes? And then also get into the chat and kind of get your thoughts as well. So let me go ahead without further ado. What's going on, man?
What's happening, Dustin? What's happening, good people in the chat?
Yeah, thanks very much for joining. We've got, oh, good. Dakota threw in the first one, so we know somebody's here. Brian Sherlin, like clockwork, right in there with a Bucks comment. Paul, what's going on? That's what I was actually, I was over there and the chat was just flying down. But you know what I noticed though? It was not quality. A lot of it was just like people that were posting like, emojis like 30 times just to be on the screen. So we're going to have a better chat over here. So take that, Jeff.
It's probably true.
Corey, what's going on? Good to see you. We're up. So not even just, I didn't even notice. I thought that Flippin' Steve was doing his Monday night show. Then all of a sudden, boom, like his thing pops up and Steve is going on now too. And then I think there's a couple of other live streams, but you know what, guys, we don't feel bad. If you want to watch the other ones, come back, watch this one later. No big deal at all. This one will be the best one. So you'll definitely want to come back, but we've got a lot going on. There's all of a sudden, there's a lot of hobby stuff going on. Troy, what's going on? Yeah, apple pies and cake decorating. Ryan, what's going on, buddy? And congrats to Ryan. He started his YouTube channel, History Through Cards. Check it out. He is, what's the best way to put it? A sports card historian is how I usually refer to Ryan, because historythroughcards.com is his website, and he's got a bunch of amazing articles on vintage going way back. But it's not like a deep dive. It's like a deep dive, like to the core of the earth type deep dives. Check it out. History Through Cards YouTube channel. AIH, what's going on? What's going on, man? Good to see you. Hobby champs. Yeah, I know, right? You know what we should do is just have we should have, if we'd had $40,000 of giveaways, we'd be fine. We'd be fine. That's his secret, man. That's his secret. We need the giveaways. Michael Ham, what are you giving away? I need everyone to give away something.
Every one of you wins something, but every one of you has to give away something.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Christmas gift where you pass it, everyone gives a gift or whatever. It's like that deal where it's like it's a giveaway, but there's a catch. We're all giving away something.
We're all giving away shit.
Yeah, we're all giving away trash. All right, man. So last time I had you on was June. Believe it or not, it's been 6 months. It's amazing how time flies, because I didn't think it had been that long. And I was looking through like past live streams just to see how long it was. And it was like June 18th. But now you are a dad. You were not a dad when I had you on before. So how has life changed? Has it changed anything as far as your, collecting or your hobby stuff, or not really?
Well, at the very least, it changes the perception of time, because I thought we met way before June. You could have told me before I even had a channel was when we met. It felt so long ago. But from a collecting perspective, no. And people have asked me this before, like, what are you buying for her? Stuff like that. It's a daughter. We have a daughter. And I was like, I grew up, my dad had a hobby, guns. I like them. I'm comfortable with them. It is what it is, but it was never my hobby. And so I'm like, I'm not going to force it on her. If she wants it, cool. If not, then it is what it is,
Yep. No, absolutely. Are you going to be the guy? Are you going to be the dad that like leaves her a bunch of, like Peyton Manning rookies, and she's going to be like, what the heck is this crap?
Yeah, if she likes Peyton Manning, if she likes, big forehead, then maybe, but than that, no.
Oh, that's funny.
I can't believe Steve just went live, man. I didn't know. Yeah, I mean, because I think we purposely scheduled this for Tuesday to not conflict with Steve.
And you know what? I actually could have gone on last night, but I thought that Steve was on.
Yeah.
Oh well. I think Steve planned this, so I'll have to have a talk with him. But no, it's all good. It's all good. The thing is now I have to go back and I have to watch like normally I'd just be watching Steve's. Now I have to go back and watch Steve's. So
yeah,
all good. You came out with a really good video today, I believe. I wanted to talk with you more about it, and it was all about kind of long-term buying, long-term card investing, and just kind of an analysis that you did. Do you want to just kind of dig into that a little bit to start that up?
Yeah, sure. So the video today, and it's going to be one of at least 2 videos. It might be 3 or 4. I'm going to talk about it, but more and more I'm thinking about a long-term strategy, and we can talk about like kind of why I've broadened that horizon out. But today's video in particular was about it's so important to get goats correct. And what I did was I looked at, what we would identify as goats. And we kind of broke that down too, and basically said there's 1 or 2 per generation per sport. And when you look at their card prices compared to their peers, now versus when they were rookies, I mean, it's just not close. Like the best example was probably Dwayne Wade and LeBron James for obvious reasons. Both Hall of Famers, one's a GOAT, one's not a GOAT. But, I mean, still a great player in Dwayne Wade. When you go back to 2004, their Topps Chrome and a PSA 10, LeBron was $100, Dwayne Wade was $30. So, for every 3 Wade, you could get 1 LeBron. When you look at their prices today, the LeBron is $11,000 and the Dwayne Wade is just under $800. So even though the LeBron was 3X, he was the right purchase, and so if you spent $300, you could have got 10 Wades and you would have spent $300, and today you'd have about $8,000. If you would have bought 3 LeBrons, you'd have $33,000. I mean, it's just not even close. It's so important to get that part right.
Yeah, and you was it that video where you also kind of looked at Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, kind of drawing comparisons? Because I struggle with those are 3 guys. Not that I own a lot of Peyton Manning stuff, because I don't, but I'm a Saints fan, so I've got Brees stuff. Part of me is kind of like, well, as a Saints fan, I love the stuff, so I can keep on accumulating it. But then I think about that and I'm like, man, or do I just put more resources into Tom Brady stuff? Because I know that that's got kind of staying power. I guess the question though is price point. It's always price point. Tom Brady stuff is expensive, for the most part. But it was a really interesting video.
Well, to that point, I think that's a great thing to go in the discussion. So my overall message is, well, there's going to be a couple, but one of them is going to be look at the macro trends, the big trends. And I think when you look at Tom Brady, Brees, and Peyton, the big, discussion that you just got into is like, should I put money into, let's say, Peyton number 2, because I think he's undervalued, or would I be better off putting it in Brady? And the thing is, if Brady is fully priced in as the GOAT that he is, then maybe we're at a high point for Brady and a low point for Manning, and then it makes sense to put money into Manning. But obviously that's just kind of guessing. I don't know.
Yeah, it's really tough. And throw it in the chat too, guys. Like, let us know what you think on this, because I've heard the same thing with Peyton Manning, and Paul actually put it right here. High grade Peyton is super undervalued. We failed to remember that 98, we didn't protect our cards. That was a decade plus away. Yeah, and that's actually a good point. Late 80s, or excuse me, late 90s, probably even maybe early 2000s as well. I picked up this, so we'll kind of shift gears a little bit. We'll stay on football cards though. This is Platinum Portraits metal. And I got this idea from, I saw other content creators talking about basketball platinum, like the Michael Jordan card in this 97 Skybox metal set is like a 5-figure card in a high grade. The Barry Sanders card is like, it's probably in the $200 to $500 range, depending on the grade. Raw, they pop up maybe like $200, $250, $300. It's not cheap, but at the same time, like, you look at like kind of, and I know Barry Sanders, it's kind of he's not necessarily a GOAT. He didn't play long enough. He played 10 seasons, but he does get respect though. He's a top 5 running back of all time. And I don't think that ever changes, even though he only played 10 seasons. I think he's got kind of like just the way his game was. I think he's got kind of that legendary, mythical, unicorn status because of how he played the game.
Yeah, obviously, go define GOAT, right? That's fun. But
yeah.
I tried to do it in this video, and I said that, the most obvious way that someone's a GOAT is through like being the most dominant team player on a dominant team. Jordan, Brady, Emmitt Smith from the Barry Sanders era. Emmitt fits in there. But I did say that I think Sanders is a GOAT because I think his individual accomplishments, he gets recognized that way. And I think now as we look back on it, in a historical perspective, people realize how bad of a teams they were putting around him. And I think people are actually more, awe-inspired by what he was able to perform as a single player. But I don't know.
Yeah, the problem too with like when you think about basketball goats, like one guy can carry a basketball team. Michael Jordan or LeBron James or whoever it is, Kobe. But like Barry Sanders needs guys to block for him, even though his line wasn't near as good as Emmitt Smith. I mean, football is really like the ultimate team sport. You could be the best running back of all time. If your defense is complete trash, you'll never win a game. So I think it's tough with football. I guess it's more of, I guess you have to break it down by position, like running back. I always say legend just because I know like GOAT always gets like a bad rap. Like there's, why is everybody a GOAT? And it's like, okay, I get it. I understand that. So I always just say legends typically, but oh yeah, Alexander Kuhn. Yeah, Neo did a GOAT video the other day as well. I know there's been so much GOAT talk, but I feel like a lot of folks have moved out of prospecting. I think GOAT videos are probably more common because there's just a lot less of the prospecting stuff, coming out.
I would just say that this GOAT series or whatever, this long-term series is going to dabble into basically GOAT prospecting. I mean, that's kind of how I've set it up, and we're going to keep going that way. So yeah, I still think that's probably the best thing to put your money into. And that's, again, we're going to talk about macro level trends. I think that's probably the most important thing is to identify those. And, the video that I think kind of put me on the map, I talk about it sometimes, is I put out a video that says investing in GOATs is overrated. And, it may sound silly that I put out that video and I'm saying these words today, but the whole purpose of that video was, if you go look at, if anyone in February, March, or April said buy GOATs, they were wrong. I mean, they were just wrong because the market was so high. They didn't see the macro trend. They just couldn't see through, I want to buy GOATs, I want to buy GOATs, I want to buy GOATs. You have to look at the big market trends and, plan accordingly. You can't just keep throwing money at the top of the market.
Yeah. And there really was an attitude, I would say for a lot of 2020, post kind of March 2020 when the pandemic stuff hit. But I mean, I remember reading comments on my videos where it was like, it's never too late to buy a Jordan, or they're like, there's never a bad price to buy a Kobe or whatever, until we got to February, March. And then it was like, man, it's hit like a really, well, and I remember even leading up to that, I don't know if you remember, well, of course you remember it, but there was also like a mini bump in July, August. That was
no one talks about it, man. I don't understand why.
It was a huge bump. Yeah. And actually I thought that was like, I was like, it's never going to do that again. Like that was like massive. And then, we kind of like, plodded along, and then the first quarter of this year came and it was bananas.
Yeah, no, I mean, I remember being in the February, March bubble this year, and everyone's like, this is the biggest spike ever. And I'm like, guys, go look at August prices. Like they were for sure in modern, prices in the August spike were as high, if not higher than the February spike. But the GOAT cards is what really took off flying there with the Jordan sale of 700,000, and then everything just was rolling downhill from there.
Yeah, Raul's here. Unopened Brady wax looks good long term, 2000 chrome. What does that cost though now? Like, I mean, here's the problem too. I feel like everyone's in on this right now. Like the attention is on, and I understand, look, I understand that prices have come down over the last 6-7 months and a lot of stuff outside of like the real high end stuff. But I feel like all the things, or at least most of them, I shouldn't say all the things, but like, everyone's looking at the oddball cards. Everyone's looking at the, what's the next thing? F1, UFC, everyone's jumping on that next thing, Marvel cards or whatever it is. And we're running out of things, to where it's like, maybe maybe just wait until like, stuff bottoms out or whatever, like at some point, there's probably going to be a downward swing, and then maybe that's the opportunity for some. And what I mean is more of the opportunity for like this type of rare stuff, where it's like a 2000 chrome, box or whatever.
2000, specifically 2000 chrome at some point is going to have a huge dip in price when some big content creator opens a box and the entire box is bricked and stuck together. When that happens, the prices are just going to plummet for 2000 wax. I don't know. I was just talking to you about this before with Pokemon. I don't think Pokemon really bricks, but football cards brick. So I don't know how long you should really be keeping wax. Like it's kind of a dangerous game because once people start to say, okay, past 30 years it bricks, well then, at that point you need to open it. So I don't know.
Yeah. And then what happens if you sell it and it's bricked? I mean, that's not your fault. If it's completely sealed, You know, like, I guess that's the whole thing. If it's sealed and you haven't, you know, like nobody knows what's going on inside of it, as long as it's legitimately still sealed, then that shouldn't be on you, right? If it is bricked.
Like if you were the last seller, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that it's on you, but you know, eBay may have a different opinion. I don't know. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Or the auction house or whatever. I wonder how they would handle that. Cause I mean, that's kind of a tricky one.
I feel like an auction house would be more lenient for the seller, but I feel like eBay, I feel like if you sold like a $30,000 box on eBay and it was bricked, you know, good luck not getting, you know, having to return that.
Yeah. Yeah. What are you looking at? What's kind of the, I guess, you know, targets leading into, or I guess kind of your attitude as you're ending out the year? Are you buying a lot right now? Are you taking a break? What's your thought process right now?
Yeah, I mean, just a few weeks ago, I was buying a ton of footballs, 90s inserts, and still am. This is a Steve Young 96 Upper Deck SP. This came one every case. Is this a case hit? These are case hits, I think. And so I've been buying a lot of that stuff on the cheap. I mean, we're talking $1, $2 a piece. This was $5, you know, for Steve Young for a case hit, you know, Hall of Fame quarterback. And like I was telling you before, you know, I've been buying a lot of Pokemon right now, but for me, December, you know, I'm lucky enough to have, you know, some money. I don't have to, you know, worry about, you know, gifts and stuff like that. You know, I can do that and still put money in the market. I always think December is a good time to buy, and it is traditionally a great time to buy because usually people kind of aren't buying. But cheaper football is kind of what I'm looking at right now.
Okay. Yeah, I've kind of slowed down, honestly. I've been buying, like, I think I told you or previously, but graded video games. So I've been in on the graded video game thing for a while now. So I'm kind of stretched. I did get this here recently. I wanted to show you this because you're a memorabilia guy. It's see if I can get it up right. It's one of these 96 Upper Deck.
Oh yeah.
Game worn patch. So the thing that's cool about these, especially where have you heard of these?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the first jersey patch that was produced, right?
Right. Yeah. So I looked at this and there's like a merino and there's a few other ones, but they're like really expensive. I mean, I think that the cat's out of the bag on that, you know.
Yep.
So it's just there's no bargain. So this one, it wasn't inexpensive. It was a couple $100.
Oh wow, man,
from
that's
Marshall
crazy.
Falk.
Wow.
Yeah, it's not, but yeah, that's what I was thinking. I mean, it's a Hall of Fame running back, a Super Bowl winning Hall of Fame running back. It's not like it's just some random, you know, person. But yeah, right on the back of the card, one of the reasons why I like it, it actually does say you have received the first ever game worn jersey card from the Upper Deck Company.
Oh, that's really cool.
So the fact that it says that, because you know now we're tinkering around with verbiage on cards where it's like player worn, it's worn at an event. It might never have been worn by this player at all. It might never have even have been like seen by this player.
Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, they've gotten really, really expensive. So I'm trying to get lucky on auctions for stuff like that. But I'm with you, man. I'm all about the memorabilia stuff. I've kind of moved away even from like autograph cards that are more, or not autograph cards, rookie cards that are more common. So like, for example, I've got a couple of Marshall Falk's SP rookie cards that are graded. And I've got a couple of 9s and a couple of 10s, but they're not very rare. And it's not a super expensive card, even graded in a PSA 9 Falk SP rookie card is like a $50 card, you know, in a PSA 9. It's not an expensive card, but I have been looking more at kind of that, like, you know, that memorabilia stuff. It's pretty cool. And it seems like that's where things are going with all the Fanatics, you know, stuff.
Well, I would love to hear it. I mean, I'll show you as far as memorabilia stuff goes. I mean, I've been buying this stuff as cheap as I can. This is a Brady Chad Pennington 2004 Ultimate Collection, $40.
Oh yeah, I love that.
Yeah, I can't pass that up. And then I like to buy veteran autos, you know, NFL Hall of Famers. There's a Mel Blount. That one's kind of hard for me to find. I love this set, 1999 SP Signature Edition. It's one of my favorite sets. It's just a great, signature edition. It's a great set. The Blunt auto is actually kind of bad. Usually they use the blue pen. The Mel Blount one's in a black pen. It's kind of weird, but it's what it is.
I was going to show you this because you're also a baseball card guy. I don't have very many baseball cards, but I picked this up just because I thought that looked cool. The auto has a little bit of a smudge, but it's a National Treasures Lou Brock auto,
cool,
and he wrote the franchise, which I think is so awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But it's got a little bit of a smudge here, but it wasn't, it was, I think it was like 50, $55, so it wasn't crazy cheap, but it also wasn't, for like Lou Brock, I mean, it's a legend. It's numbered out of 25. I know it's National Treasures, so it's not, it's Panini baseball stuff. So, it's not going to be as popular, but I thought that was pretty cool.
Who knows? Once Fanatics takes over, people may really like Panini baseball. So that was only a 10-year window, a 9-year window, and they may really like it. Who knows?
Well, I wonder too, it's like if Fanatics is not able to buy Topps or Panini, I just have a hard time believing they're not going to try to go the Leaf route and still try to sell their stuff. I mean, they've already have all the equipment there to print cards. I mean, what are they going to do? Just shut it all down?
I mean, people keep saying that and they argue, they're going to go the Leaf route. But I mean, I keep saying that people underestimate how small Topps and Panini thought overall, and maybe underestimate how big Fanatics thinks. And Fanatics wants that monopoly. They're going to get it. They're not going to let Topps and Panini produce anything that they don't have the rights to, is what I would say.
Yeah, they might battle over it for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you look, that's a $10 billion company, and what's Topps is the $3 billion company. I mean, and then once they lose the rights, I mean, what is Topps's evaluate? I mean, $1 billion maybe. I mean, there's no way Fanatics doesn't go to court and just win. I mean, I don't know. Who knows? I don't know the legal behind
it. Yeah, especially if they're having success. If Panini and Topps are selling a lot and making a lot of money, then Fanatics going to be like, what the hell? We want a piece of that. We want that.
Yeah.
Troy has a question for you. Dakota, you only buy majority raw instead of graded slabs?
Well, it depends on what it is. Like for my memorabilia and my autos, I don't really mind buying raw. I like that stuff raw. A lot of the 90s football inserts, you can't really buy graded because it doesn't exist graded. But when I'm buying, like, I would say more traditional cards, like, the Randy Moss Bowman Chrome, here's a Troy Aikman PSA 9 score rookie. Those I like to get graded because they're just a lot more liquid. So, I mean, I guess if it's a more common card, I would buy it in a slab. And if it's, less sought after in the hobby, then I'm probably buying it raw.
Alexander, when is the next grading submission for you guys? So I've gone back and forth on this. I've never made a submission to any grading company. I've always just bought raw, sold raw, not really sold much, but sold raw, or bought graded, sold graded. And part of the reason for that is when I was really kind of ramping up to cards, I started in January 2018 is when I started, but I was buying kind of here and there, not on the same level as 2020 and beyond. But what happened was as I was kind of gearing up for a submission, I was like, okay, I'm going to do a PSA submission. Then all of a sudden it started to get really like bogged down, and then it was like, okay, well, I don't know when I'm gonna get my cards back. And I waited too long. And then all of a sudden it was over, and then I couldn't submit. And then I've thought about sending stuff to SGC because I have a lot of like something like this, where I'd like to just get it slabbed, have it in a slab, and SGC is what, $30 or $28, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And it gives you an auto grade. One thing though with SGC is they don't authenticate the auto. So they'll grade it, but they're not authenticating it, which I thought was kind of interesting. Now, the hobby as a whole might not care about that, meaning like if you're trying to sell it, I don't know if anyone's going to, care that it's got an SGC auto and they don't know if that's legit or not. But that was just kind of an interesting tidbit about SGC. But I like the Tux slabs. So for me, I was thinking like I might still do an SGC submission. I'm still trying to figure it out. Then part of me is like, well, if PSA is grading 40,000 cards a day, do I just maybe wait and then just get, wait 6 months, 9 months? Because these are not cards I'm looking to flip. So I'm not in a rush. Maybe I just wait until PSA's got their act together in 9 months, a year, and then submit them, at 20, 30, $50 or whatever it is.
Well, I mean, SGC slabs, that's why I like to send my PC in is SGC. And
yeah,
as far as like the auto thing, like if it's a licensed product, I don't think anyone's going to care. If it's a hand sign, then that's a different discussion. But as far as what my next sub is going to be, I don't sub very much. Everything I've ever subbed has been for my PC, and it's just been to lock it up, like that Tomlinson you just saw and some other stuff I have laying around. But the next sub will be my first sub ever, where I'll do it with the intent of hoping to make a little bit of money, and it'll be all this football stuff I'll be sending in. And I think I'm going to send it to CSG because it's $20 a card for the same turnaround as SGC. And, I mean, this stuff I'm hoping to sell at $30 graded. So at $20, that has to be my entry point basically.
Is there an opportunity you think? I mean, this is kind of a tricky one because if PSA gets caught up, because here's the thing, everyone's like, PSA is still a year away from getting caught up. What if those people are wrong? What if PSA is pretty much caught up in 4, 5, 6 months? They opened up regular, which at $100 a card, 2 or 3 months, the turnaround time is actually pretty good, but it's still $100 a card. I don't think that really moves the needle very much. But what does it mean for the other companies if PSA kind of gets their act together? There's less of all the other companies are less backed up. So like you mentioned CSG and we talked about SGC, are there opportunities to, use those companies, those types of companies, whether you're flipping or holding, are there opportunities there to kind of get cards back quick? And then also, I know that I think you might've mentioned this, but Fanatics is kind of tied to CSG, with Blackstone and with Ruben. Not to say they're going to be like the preferred grader for Fanatics, but there was an interview with Luber where basically he was like, I'm not excited about competing with PSA, like opening up like Fanatics grading, basically is what he said. So that would kind of make sense that they would need to leverage a grader, somebody.
Yeah, and I think that partnership, could be out there for these companies. I don't know. I think the grading space is really interesting and how it's going to play out over the next, decade. A lot of people forget BGS was the higher dollar slab, for a long time, and PSA took it over. And I'm not saying PSA is in danger. I think, they're well positioned. I do think that BGS continues to lose ground. I think they're going to fall off a cliff. Yeah, I think that's what's going to happen. Like if BGS kind of falls out, they're going to fall off a cliff. And I think CSG is going to be the one to step in to kind of make up that ground. I think their slabs are pretty similar to BGS from a quality perspective. Their labels, I know we all have complaints about those, but I understand that they're redoing their labels. And I think CSG, I keep wanting to say CGC because I've been looking at Pokemon cards and it's called CGC over there. But CSG, I think it has a solid space in the future, hobby future.
Yeah, Gary has moved up. I don't want to say he's moved off of cards, but he certainly just doesn't. He's been so focused, I think, on the NFT space. From what if you follow him, a lot of his Twitter stuff is mainly about NFTs right now. He's got his Gary V NFT, and then he's all into it. I think that's a space. The only NFTs I own are NBA Top Shot. I haven't got into the art, the art NFTs, but it's just way too speculative for me, that side of it with those art NFTs. I know there's people that have made a lot of money on those, but there's also the ability to lose a tremendous amount of money on NFTs. And so I don't know. I mean, like with anything, like with this too, with sports cards, it's all very speculative, a lot of it. Do you have any thoughts on this comment?
Well, I definitely think Gary V is sticking to NFTs. I wouldn't mind me one of those monkey NFTs. They look pretty dope. I mean, I guess I technically own like I bought one pack of Panini basketball cards, but like I don't really own any NFTs. It's not really my space. But I was thinking about this the other day. I was like, Gary V is just a flipper. He can't help himself. That's what he is. He's going to keep going to the next thing that's going to pop where he's going to be able to move in and then move off of it and make a ton of money. He's very good at it. And NFTs is just the next thing in his crosshairs. He's not a hobbyist long term, and I think a lot of people knew that, but at least for myself, I didn't understand how short term he was.
Do you think that he has move stuff like on the on the back end or what? I mean, obviously he's not talking about it. I don't. I don't know. It's kind of tough. Like, I think it would be kind of odd if he hadn't sold anything. I mean, like you would think maybe he sold a little. I don't know.
How many PSA 10 Devin Booker Prism rookies did he buy pre-bubble last year? There's no way he didn't sell those. I mean, those things were probably at the highest price they may ever be at already. And he's a smart man. There's no way he didn't move I don't know if he's publicly saying he didn't or if he's just not talking about it. I don't know, but like it's hard for me to believe he didn't move off of some of those.
I'm going to throw in my 2 cents on the crypto metaverse stuff. So one thing that I have been putting resources into lately are cryptocurrencies that are kind of, foundational pieces for NFTs. So, Examples would be, like Polygon. I've got some of the Cardano stuff. It's basically all the alternatives to Ethereum because everything sits on the Ethereum blockchain, but gas fees are really, really expensive. It's extremely inefficient. Solana, is that the other one? Solana.
Don't ask me.
Anyway, but there's basically competitors to Ethereum that are a lot less expensive than Ethereum, and they're more efficient. So I'm kind of hedging against the Ethereum. I've got some of that stuff. I don't have a boatload of it, but just for fun, I've kind of thrown some money into it. And the metaverse is interesting too. I think that once Facebook or Meta comes out with a token, assuming it's not like $1 zillion to buy in, I'll be buying some of that because they seem to be the most serious as far as, they've got Oculus, which they bought 7 years ago with the virtual reality, augmented reality stuff. They seem to be the company with the big money that is able to really kind of make all that happen. So I don't know. It's really interesting. I guess I'd like to have a little bit of skin in the game on it in case we do move into a Ready Player One, thing where everything shuts down and we're all wearing goggles, living in a fake world. I want to make sure that I'm in on that early.
You want to make sure you have one of the mansions in that.
That's right.
Environment.
I do have some of the Decentraland crypto, which is basically exactly that. It's like the virtual real estate. I saw it in the news where people were like, this is the dumbest thing ever. And then I'm wondering, like, is this going to be like 20 years from now where like everybody lives in the Decentraland, and it's like, I don't know, man. The world's gone mad.
Crypto's not my thing. Same with NFTs. I'm a gold and silver kind of guy if I'm going to go alternative currencies.
Yeah, no, for sure. We won't turn this into a crypto podcast. Don't worry, guys, or a live stream. All right, what else do we have here? Grading was started due to dealers overgrading vintage. Now it's just a way for people to make modern base cards relevant. Yeah, that's kind of an interesting take as far as just kind of differentiating between different modern cards. I guess it's just another way to, it's nuance with modern cards. I wouldn't even say necessarily just base cards with really any modern, ultra modern cards, parallels and all of it.
Yeah, when you look at the print runs on this stuff, I mean, I don't know. I think it's kind of ridiculous that this ultra modern stuff is in slabs. And I don't know. I mean, it's a fair point. My future state ideal world is like they come up with a grading technology that everyone uses, and then it gives a very detailed score. And then instead of just a PSA 9, you actually know you have the 15,000 best copy of that card. I think that would be more interesting. But
yeah, what do you think? I guess kind of question for the chat too. Would you like a grading standard? That's like a set standard that everybody goes by, kind of a regulated standard, or do you kind of like that there is some differing opinions on it? Because I think there's people that are probably in both camps. There's some people that would say, like, I want to make sure my grade is completely accurate. I want it to be, accurate every single time across the board. And those are a lot of the same people that want the AI type technology, that's involved to kind of help with that. But then there's a lot of people that don't necessarily want that, so I'd like to hear, what you all think. And Dakota, I'm assuming that you're more along I'm guessing actually, I don't know. Are you among I want the right grade camp?
Yeah, I'm a right grade kind of guy,
Yeah.
I'm a right grade kind of gal. Let me tell you. Yeah. I mean, I wish they were all using the same grade and then you just got to pick the case you like. I mean, I would like that so much more. And then again, because then you could have a central repository saying like, this is the total pop report. Or again, if you could get it so nice, you could actually rank the cards, because like, let's talk about the Jordan real fast. This is where this idea comes from. The 86 PSA 10 Jordan that sold for 700 grand because people said it was a nice, this may have been one that sold for 550. I forget. But because people said it was like one of the nicer looking PSA 10s.
Right.
If
yeah.
every Jordan was actually graded on a scale of 1 to 1,000, we would know like what the literal nicest Jordan is. And I think there's a lot of value in that. So I think like that would be awesome. Probably not going to happen, but it would be cool.
Yeah. Especially when you look at, I think the biggest one is PSA 9s compared to PSA 10s because there's such a massive price difference a lot of times, especially when you look at vintage stuff, where you have just, the pops are way, way lower on the 10s than the 9s.
Yeah.
But then when you look at the 9 and the 10 and there's not really much difference at all, with vintage sometimes, but man, when you get into modern, ultra modern stuff, like 9s and 10s, a lot of times, like you really have no idea what the difference is. And then there's no grading notes. A lot of grading,
Yep.
I shouldn't say a lot, but like there are grading companies that offer in different collectible spaces that offer the ability to get grading notes on why you got the grade that you got, but that's not, it doesn't exist here. So, I mean, it's kind of wild, really, when just based on that price difference.
Yeah, I mean, like by my eye, people, content creator, people, oh, can you look at my card? You know what the grade is, and I'm like, I can tell 9 or better. I mean, that's what my eye can tell me. Because certainly once you go below, like 9, was it 8, a 7, a 6? I don't know. I have no idea. And then I can tell 9 or better, okay, there's one small white corner, you've got a mint 9. Congratulations. Can it be a 10? I have no earthly idea. It's not for me to tell. Go ask Elite Co 3. He'll tell you.
I'd be really curious to know, like, what is, okay, so we've had this big boom in the hobby. Grading companies, they're hiring a bunch of new graders. Okay, so like PSA's got a bunch of new graders. I assume BGS does, SGC does, but I would really be curious to see what that training, the training manual, and I'd like to see like the training schedule. Because if you think about it, like, can somebody in a couple of months, I assume they're learning from a grader that's been doing it for 20 years. They're probably shadowing that person. I would like to see what they do, because I mean, you're sending your money in there to get graded by experts. I mean, if a new hire is not an expert, like that guy or gal has been grading there's graders at PSA have been grading for 3 months or 6 months or whatever. And then there's that guy, gal that's been there for 20 years or whatever it is, like I would just love to be a fly on the wall to see like how they do that.
Yeah, I mean, the training process to me, this whole ramp up that happened over the last 18 months, I think is really interesting. And I think when we look at the end of this, well, I mean, these people, the throughput has been through the roof. So these people on the end of this they're going to be experienced graders, but the grading industry is going to shrink. And so I think now, if companies like HGA can hang on, I think there's going to be a market where there are more experienced graders available, because 2 years ago, there were no graders for hire, right? There were none. They were all hired, and then suddenly, oh, we need a ton of graders. And now you've got to train them, exactly what you just said. And, if grading does shrink a little bit, which I would imagine it would, now you're looking at graders on the street, and then maybe you get to put more experienced graders in some of these newer companies, and maybe that helps them succeed a little bit better. I don't know.
Or is this going to be like an a la carte thing, Michael Ham, where you pay, $200 for the 10 plus years of experience, like you're paying for experience, or it's $12 for the person that started, 3 months ago. And then they tag it as such on the slab. I don't know. But that's just stuff that people don't really talk about. The only thing you really hear people talking about is like, I feel like PSA is grading harder. And then there's like oh, well, they've got new graders. So the new graders are probably grading tougher because they don't want to be lenient because they're new, which makes sense. That makes sense. But it's like, I'd love to see behind the curtain, just kind of see what's going on.
Yeah, it would be interesting. No, I agree 100%. It would be pretty interesting. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people think because these new graders go strictly by the book, and that's what's made it stricter. But I mean, I have no idea.
Yeah, I saw a few comments. Cards and Comics and Paul are talking about 48 Leaf baseball, I assume.
Probably football.
Yeah, or football. What happened with those? Because you're right, there is something about there was a lot of trimming on these cards on the 48 Leaf.
Well, so trimming used to be pretty popular forget like the dirty way we think about trimming. Trimming in the hobby was something that happened because people, when you look at the earlier cards, they were tobacco cards, and people are like, I don't want the tobacco, advertisement on my card. I just want to put this in my binder. So they cut off the tobacco advertisement. We're talking 1800s, 1900s. And then when you look at some of the stuff in the 40s and 50s, kids could have trimmed it just to straighten it up to make it look better wherever they were holding it. It is what it is. But then, of course, once you go into the 90s, and I guess probably the 80s, you start to see the pretty bad side of trimming.
Yeah. Well, and then I think what's hard too is the card trimmed really badly? Like, did someone actually trim it? Or was it just like, if you're going back to 1948, was it just the machinery wasn't that good, to where it like might look just like crap,
Oh yeah.
Got to be, I think for those cards, I don't know how you feel about it, but I would almost probably rather have more of like a beat up one that I know wasn't trimmed. That's like a 1 or a 2 or something.
Well, I wouldn't necessarily mind I wouldn't necessarily mind a trimmed card. I mean, it depends on how it's trimmed. Here's a lane. It's all the centering's off on the front, but the color's phenomenal, and it's all beat to hell. It's hard to see there, but
Oh yeah.
the
I
centering
like
on the
that.
back is great. These were really
The
hard to get centered on the
coloring
back.
looks great.
Thank you. And like, if it wasn't a crooked edge, I would be fine with it being like, it wouldn't bother me that it came back authentic, you know, but if it's a crooked edge, that would probably bother me. I probably wouldn't like that too much.
Yeah, I guess that's a good point. If it's a scarce card, if it's old, you know, it's just, is it real? And that probably is all that really should matter.
Exactly. Yeah. But I mean, again, that's more, at least from my perspective, and what I just said was more from a collecting perspective. Like if I want to buy a 1935 Bronco Nagurski and it's authentic, but it's a good I mean, I don't care. I don't care that someone trimmed it, you know, I mean, good luck buying it not trimmed, you know, I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I hear you. I hear you. Let's shift gears over to content creation for a little bit. How are you? Why are you doing what you're doing on your channel? No, I'm just kidding.
Why are you so dumb? God.
Why is it happening like that? No, I'm kidding. How has it been like with your new edition? I mean, are you still just kind of like, has it slowed you down, or are you just kind of figuring out like ways to, because I haven't seen you really slow down. It seems like you're still like going along doing your stuff.
Yeah, I've tried to figure out life and all this stuff, but you know, I talked about this a little while ago on a live stream, like in the middle, not that anyone would have caught it, but like I'm honestly bored of sports card content. And I don't mean the content that I'm putting out. I just mean like the general content that the hobby's putting out. I think it's boring. And so I've tried to shake it up a little bit. And I have a series called Dakota's Conversations, Dakota's Convos. And it's just, you know, a pre-recorded 1 to 3 hour, you know, discussion with somebody. And I've had people who are in the hobby. I've had people who aren't in the hobby. And, you know, I've personally found that interesting. And then more and more now, I moved off of like looking at charts and stuff because I think most people can do that. I'll do it every once in a while. People seem to like it. But I try to think longer term strategy. What is my play? What do I want to do? I try to think, you know, bigger picture plays here and there. And I just got over the whole chase this card, chase that card. I hate it. It was never really my content to begin with, but I was trying to understand it. And I just hate it so much. And I just don't want anything to do with it. And so, yeah, there you go. That's my content.
Yeah, I haven't done as much of the price charts stuff, but I do like doing it for vintage, just to kind of see where stuff is. It's like, if I'm already going to be looking it up myself, like, why don't I just document it and then throw it on a video? So like I don't know, I probably do those like once a month now, where I'm looking at various like vintage baseball or football or whatever, just because I think that's kind of interesting to follow, as opposed to, you know, Luka Prism 10s. Like, where are we on the Trey Young silvers or whatever? Like, I don't.
Yeah,
as much of an interest for me.
Yep. I'm with you. And sorry, and I quit doing I did a weekly market review and I quit doing it. And I found that I like to do it, I think monthly is about right, because like that's just a good way to check back and say, this has been the general market trend over the last month, and just kind of check back in and say, this is what the market's done. I think monthly is a good cadence for that.
Speaking of content, sports card investigator Andy has been pumping out content like it's his job, man.
Yes, I noticed that.
All of a sudden, they're just coming out there's just a flurry of videos. I'm like, wait a second, what's going on here? We got sponsors flying around.
3 weeks ago, he had about total of 40 videos on his channel over a year period, and now I think he's got 90. I don't know what happened. He just started cranking them.
Yeah, and it's good stuff too. I like Andy always comes at it from, you know, a different angle. That's one thing I love about, I do agree with you. I think that, and I've tried to think of kind of various ways to shake things up, do things a little differently, because, you know, a lot of the content, it's either vlog, you know, it's like, how many card shows? I know a lot of people like the card show stuff, but like for me, I watch a lot of them, but it's a lot of the same sort of stuff though, like at a card show, you know? So you either have like the vlog people, you have the card shop people, you have the people like me, you know, and I guess you do to a certain degree as well, but just kind of like stand-up videos, just talk about certain topics or whatever. Yeah. Raul does that as well at IAH Sports. I like all that stuff. I also like that you can hear, you know, each person's got their own take on whatever it is. But no, you're right. It's hard to catch all of it, you know, especially when you know, sometimes it can get redundant. Yeah, so I feel you.
Yep.
What is this? I tried doing comic book and card content in one video and people really hated it. Kind of, I know, and Neo's tried to do that too. He's done it. I think he's been fairly successful kind of having both on his channel, but I think that's kind of rare because you would think there'd be crossover, like card people also like comics. And that's not really the case because I've tried that as well, where I've done kind of like, pricing on different comic books, and like sports card people just don't care about it at all. But I guess if you can get kind of both audiences, and I don't know, but Cards and Comics has done pretty good with that, as well as Neode has done pretty well with that as well. Why are you guys not Sports Card Investor Virtual? Good question. What? Ask them, Bradley. I'm not sure. I have been in touch with Jeff Wilson about coming on my channel for an interview. Probably in the next couple of weeks. We'll see. Maybe like a week, 2 weeks. So I don't know. I don't have it nailed down yet. But yeah, I did not get invited. I don't know. Maybe Dakota got invited and just turned it down.
Hell no, I don't think they would. I mean, I speak well of Jeff and them, but I don't think I'm not quite on that level. I don't think. Not recognized like that.
Yeah, he had a good mix. I think he was, just by the people that were on it, the channels that were on it, looked like he had like some variety. It looked like they were looking to get some variety on there. So yeah, no, I mean, whatever. If they don't want to have us, then fine. We'll just do our own thing.
Neo got the voice. He does, that bastard. I don't know how he got it, but he got it.
Yep. There was a girl on the virtual. She was sweet. Oh, I think you're talking about
Sam?
Yeah, Women of the Hobby. Is that her? That's her channel. Yeah, Sam. Yeah, I saw her before we came on. I saw like all of them were on there. There was a crossover between cards and comics in which a lot of comic book artists were freelancing for card manufacturers. Oh, that's interesting. EC comic book guys come to mind. Huh. Now, was that Stan Lee, Ryan, and those guys, or was that somebody else? I don't think it was. The thing that's funny about Stan Lee and Marvel is Stan Lee was doing comics like 20 years before he ever started Marvel. Like, you talk about like love what you do. Stan Lee, like, I think people think that he must have just like fell into Marvel, like, oh, he was just an opportunist, that kind of like came into Marvel Comics. No, that dude was he was doing comics like for no money whatsoever for 15, 20 years before he ever made it big. I think that's kind of a testament to, like, if you enjoy what you do and you're just kind of doing your thing, eventually, big things happen, if you stick with it and you really love it.
If you're good at it, eventually it happens. Yeah.
I guess that's true. If you're not good at it and you just keep doing it, then you just keep doing it.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
What's up, man? Good to see you.
Before
Neo
that,
heard his name.
Yeah, Neo, man, he shows up. If you talk about Baker Mayfield or Neo, somehow he always shows up. So
he's like Thanos. He's inevitable.
Yeah, he is inevitable. Yeah, that one.
I think that's what he says. Something like that. I'm inevitable. I think I got that right.
I think that's right. I don't know. That's a Neo question anyway.
Throw that in the chat. Did Thanos say inevitable, or is it a different word? It's something to that effect. Like, you can't stop him. Why do you think PSA bought Card Ladder versus Market Movers? I have my opinion. It always ends with VCP is better. Is that the vintage card price tool? I haven't used that yet, but a few people have brought that up to me, so I want to look at it. So I posted a video on this. Actually, Neo did as well, like the whole PSA Card Ladder response video, whatever. And Jeff Wilson responded directly to both of our videos, actually with the same comment. But basically saying that they were not for sale. Whether that's true or not true, whatever, there'll be speculation on all that. But I believe Jeff, if he said that they were not for sale, then I'm sure they probably weren't for sale. So now, take that for what you will. But that's what Jeff said directly. Don't worry, I'm trying to figure this out. Don't worry, Dakota, you're recognized from poster on wall at post office. What is it? Is this something cryptic that I don't know what he's saying?
I don't know. I think I'm on a wanted poster is what he's saying, but I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, nailed the Thanos quote. All right. So which big comic book key is Neo going to get next? He's already knocked down a couple. Hulk 181 and Giant Size X-Men #1. He's got both of those. Those are 2 Infinity Stones. What's coming next?
He's got three more to go.
I've been using VCP for 5 years. Fantastic tool. Now, Victor, have you used Card Ladder and or Market Ladders? And if so, what might be different that VCP offers that they don't? Or, if you have any thoughts there, throw them in there. Throw them in. Yeah, by the way, and I think I'd mentioned this at the beginning of the stream, but historythroughcards.com is Ryan McClanahan's website. He also just started a YouTube channel. Head on over to History Through Cards YouTube and check it out. But the reason why I say that, and I know I talk about Ryan a lot, but it's like a extreme deep dive into the history of cards. So if you're someone that is just a sports card enthusiast, whether you're just getting in, or maybe you've been collecting for 20 years plus, whatever, I guarantee you that you will learn something new from this site. There's a lot of, really nuanced information. So check it out.
What you showed that Barry Sanders earlier. You been buying any other stuff? What do we got going on over there?
So there's I shouldn't say big, but there's a Raleigh card show coming up this weekend. So part of me has been kind of holding off a little bit just to do some face-to-face dealings. So I did get what was actually that Marshall Falk I showed you. That was the only card I bought in the last 10 days.
Dang, 10 days.
Yeah,
How many video games you buy in that time?
I wanted to, what's that?
How many video games you buy in the last 10 days?
So I bought the only sealed video game that I might ever own for how much they cost, but it's John Elway Football NES, sealed, graded, sealed, and less than $400. I'm always bargain shopping for any of that stuff. So,
man, there's a couple. I don't know if you're a gamer, if you just like collecting, but I am a gamer. There's a couple games I would like sealed. I have them not sealed. I have all my games basically since when I was little, so that worked out. But I would love even the box for some of these, man. I would love to have it again.
Yeah, for me, and I'm well, what am I like 8 or 9 years older than you? I'm 40, so I'm like quite a bit older than you. I think 10 years older. All right,
probably older. How fucking older do you think I look? My God.
Original NES. No, I knew I was older. I just didn't remember how much older. So original NES was like my first console. So I've got the whole nostalgia stuff with all the original NES games.
Yeah.
That's what I've got. But sealed Super Mario Brothers for the original NES is like $1 million game, or it can be. It's a 6-figure game, depending on which one it is, which variation it is. So the CIB is the kind of that next step, and it's complete in box. And then they grade it complete in box. I don't know. It's kind of a cool little niche thing that I've gotten into. Yeah, this is the rookie card exactly. So the SP Falk, it's impossible to get foil right when grading. That's a big reason. I've got multiples of that card, but I did get a couple of the PSA 10s for that reason, because the foil I thought would be a tough grade. And I don't think that the pop is too crazy on it either. I think it's fairly low. Now, maybe people would say what's the demand on Marshall Falk rookie cards? But he's pretty badass back. I mean, I the kids today aren't going to know because they didn't see him play. But that whole Rams offense, greatest show on turf, was insane. And Marshall Falk was, I just think, underrated in general. He was kind of like Thurman Thomas after Thurman Thomas.
It's I feel like we just intrinsically know if these guys are in the GOAT or second tier level status. And Marshall Falk, from a skills and performance perspective, should be, but I think we just know that he's not. He's certainly not on the Emmett and Barry, level, or Walter Payton. Would there be a second tier? I don't know. There's so many running backs on that first tier Walter, then Jim Brown too. Adrian Peterson, probably. Yeah, he's going to be, he's going to have more of a hobby presence than Falk has ever had.
I kind of wonder too if it hurts. If all the guys you just named are more power runners, if you talk about Sanders, Emmitt Smith, Walter Payton, Jim Brown, those weren't guys that were really catching balls out of the backfield. They have rushing yards, true rushing yards on their resume. Whereas like the Thurman Thomas, the Marshall Faulk, the Alvin Kamara, the Christian McCaffrey, these are all guys that are split. They're all like, catching balls out of the backfield. I wonder if that kind of hurts, like from a hobby standpoint, if that matters, because it seems like as far as pricing goes, it just seems like, especially like Thurman Thomas stuff. And I love that 89 score. Thurman Thomas is one of my favorite cards. It's a great card. But yeah, those guys, Sproles is another guy. It's another example. Those guys just don't get the same kind of love.
Yeah, I think it may be even, forget about sports cards for a minute. It could just be like the perception of that. And like Derrick Henry's probably going to be up in the, I mean, he may or may not be hobby relevant. He has to keep doing it. But I think we could all see where if like Henry has another 3 or 4 great years, like he will be relevant in the hobby. And I think there's probably something about being the big macho guy that just breaks down defenses and does their thing versus the guy that relies on the quarterback, in a swing pass and stuff like that. I don't know.
Yeah. All right. Victor says, I've used both SCI and CL early on, not enough card entries at the time. That's actually a really good point. I did make a video on both of those tools just with suggestions. And I really do feel like the one that can figure out how to really expand their database, really expand it. And, we talked about, Card Ladder was bought by PSA. If there's any way they can sync their data with maybe like the PSA population report or the PSA set registry or something to where all that information filters into Card Ladder and that's all being tracked, if they can quickly up that database, that's really where it's got to go. Because it's just ideally in a perfect world, when you think of a data tool, you think, okay, when I go buy a card that's somewhat hobby relevant, I understand if I have commons, they're not necessarily in that tool. But if I'm buying a card that, is a fairly big card or whatever, the problem is there's so many cards that are hobby relevant. But you would think that they should be in that tool. And I think that a lot of these tools they're just so early and they haven't gotten there yet with their database. But you're saying that VCP has a huge database. I'd like to check that out and just kind of see where they're at.
Yeah, I mean, I latched on the Card Ladder early because I like the interface. It's just a lot easier. To me, it's very smooth and easy to use, and so I liked it. And now they do a lot of work when they add about 30 cards a day, and they do a lot of work to add them, and they go all the way back to 2004 with their data. I mean, even before that, if they can. So I'm a big Card Ladder supporter, and them getting bought by PSA, should just make the tool better. Hopefully, I read that PSA does not want to demolish the tool. Like they want it to keep being the tool, so I'm hoping that a little bit more money behind it can kind of help it out.
Yeah, definitely. No, I agree with that. I think they're all going to get better. I think that's what's great. And who knows, maybe there'll be another one that comes in and knocks all of them out. You never know.
Yeah, it could be.
You never know. First in isn't always the winner. It's like Yahoo search tool or what any other of these examples.
Yeah. I also think that, I was kind of surprised because I thought Card Ladder might have the opportunity to get bought by eBay. I thought that would make a lot of sense because eBay's tool sucks awful. Like it's so bad. But I was kind of surprised. I was actually very surprised to see that PSA bought it. I thought it was interesting. So
yeah. That's another thing that's like, how is that even possible? How can eBay have a crap tool when eBay is such a massive company? It's like they have the resources, they have the money. Like all they have to do, just throw people behind it. But I guess it's like, do they know how to build it? Do they know what customers really want out of it? I think that's like, do they have card people, that actually know? And obviously the answer is no.
Yeah, which is weird because they should have, right? I mean, they are the buying and selling platform for sports cards in the world, and they don't know what the hell we want to see. Like that's kind of weird when you think about it, but
yeah.
I thought it would be pretty cool if Card Ladder or Sports Cards investors could build plugins that you could run while using eBay or using MySlabs. And then like if you looked at a card, it would pull up the charts on the side for you. I thought that would be pretty neat. I probably just gave Jeff a nice, smooth $2 million idea there, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I really wish that they would also do it to where you could search by decade, to where it's like, I want to look at 70s football cards and just kind of see what's going on, or I want to look at 80s basketball or whatever, and just be able to quickly kind of scan like, whoa, why is Hakeem Olajuwon rookie way down or whatever, and then quickly make decisions based on that, as opposed to just picking like single years, and then it's capped usually at a certain, whatever.
Yeah. I wish you could do that on eBay too. Or maybe you can. Maybe somebody knows. But like, because I'll put in a search. Like I'm searching for. We talked about memorabilia cards. I like to search basically every year from 1999 to 2009 jersey, auto, football, and so I have to put in every year 99, 2000, 2001. And I wish I could just put 99-2009 and it knew to pick up every year, but it doesn't work that. As far as I know, it doesn't work that way.
The other thing too is some sort of like a red flag or a yellow, even like a yellow flag on questionable sales, or something to where like the algorithm and maybe the technology isn't there yet for this, but right now they're both of these tools are kind of like they've got people manually looking like, oh, here's an outlier sale. That doesn't make any sense. We're going to put it in purgatory, or we're not going to include it, or whatever it is. But I'm not as much worried about the outlier sale, like where there's like, $500 is like the consistent one, and then there's a $2,000 one.
Yeah,
I'm more worried about the one that's like $650. That's not right, because that one might not be on their radar, because it's like, oh, well, it's $650. It's not that much higher. It's like it's not that much of an outlier. It could have happened.
Yeah.
But what if it's bogus? That's still a big difference in price.
No, yeah, you're absolutely right. And I mean, market manipulation is something I think we as a hobby are going to have to address more and more. It's just so obvious that one sale can, wildly swing a market. And if you're looking at a card that is popular but not sold multiple times a day, I mean, you can really, really, impact the market by shill bidding. And then if you actually complete, again, if you're sitting on 10 copies of a card and, it sells once every 3 days, it's like in your interest to buy one for 3x the value of what it should go for, because the market is so, I mean, frankly, dumb. It's just going to be like, okay, that's what they paid, so that's what I pay now. I mean, like, I don't know. It's crazy.
The scariest video I've seen all year in 2021 was Breakout Cards. Ryan at Breakout Cards did a video on a fake Michael Jordan that was in a PSA. It was a Michael Jordan rookie 86 Fleer, and I think it was sitting in a PSA 5 holder. And the card was fake and the PSA slab was fake. But the one thing though that he was pointing out basically like how the slab was fake, I would never have known. I would never have caught it. It was so small that the differences. And I'm not saying I don't want to like spook it. It's like if there's a new hobbyist, they're like, actually, maybe I don't want to buy cards.
Back to video games I go.
Yeah, right. I'm going to go do something completely different. But it was basically just an amazing fake slab, which is scary, because that's the stuff that, like, even if you know what you're looking for, you can still miss it. Now, granted, like, it's probably 0.0001%, but I almost feel like if I'm going to buy like a big card, I really need to know who I'm buying it from, just in case there's any sort of an issue or whatever.
I mean, they're faking everything now. I mean, it's crazy what they fake. So, I mean, I put a premium on the light slab labels lighthouse slabs, just because it's just an extra layer of security. And then, well, I'd be interested to hear what Ryan found in that slab. But, it was
a lighthouse.
It was a lighthouse. That's crazy. So, like,
yeah,
I mean, if y'all go to PSA's website, they have 6, I think, security features that you can use to identify, if a slab's fake. If you have any questions, it's a good thing. I forget them off the top of my head though. So what was, do you remember what the issue was? I'm curious now.
I wish I remembered. It was so slight.
Oh my gosh.
I know. Hey, I'm marketing for Ryan now. Go to Ryan Breakout Cards channel. Check it out. It's one of his newer videos. It's over the last few videos.
Okay.
It's worth watching though. Yeah, it was so minuscule though. It was nuts. I think that the slab, no, actually, I don't want to misspeak. Just watch the video, because I was going to say maybe it was slightly lighter than a regular one. I don't even think that was the issue, though.
I mean, if that's it, it would be pretty crazy. Like, because like actual legitimate fake slabs, that's going to be harder. Usually the issue is like someone pops the slab and tries to reuse it. They switch out the card or whatever. And then PSA, like in their slabs, they have technology so that if the slab opens, then all this frosted stuff, I think it gets much more opaque and harder to see through. And then so that it's been opened. Like, it has some technology like that. Again, you can read up on it, psa.com. So there you go.
Yeah. I think what tipped him off too was the card was fake. Now, if the card wasn't fake, because I think that was where it was like they wouldn't have looked at the slab closer because they're probably thinking like, well, PSA wouldn't have graded a fake card,
Right.
or maybe even if they made a mistake on it, why is it a 5? It doesn't make sense. Like it just didn't add up right. You know, if they hadn't used a fake card, even if it was a real one that was, I don't know, 1, you know, that looked like a 1, but it had a fake 5 slab on it, or I don't know. You know, I mean, I guess there's a lot of different ways they can go with it, but he's a guy that knows fakes, and he missed it like the first time, and then after like looking at it was like, oh, okay, like this doesn't look right.
Yeah, you got a couple comments down there. I mean, so another security feature is in the bottom right corner, PSA now stamps PSA, and then also you would never be able to tell us online, I don't think, but in person you can see PSA through the label, and that may have been what it was. I don't really know if you can pick that up online, but I mean, they did put a lot of security features in the like latest generation of the slab. So you got my mind spinning to try to think about what it could have been. I'm curious now.
Yeah. It's definitely worth a look. It's worth a look. All right, guys, we're going to wrap up here shortly. Throw any other questions in the chat or any comments, and we'll talk about it. We're at an hour 5, and I've got 4 kids and I'm exhausted. So we're gonna
one kid and I'm exhausted.
I know I can't do like a 3-hour marathon, but I wish I could. But yeah, definitely throw in any other comments in the chat. And I don't even think I said, for new people, Sportcards Anonymous is Dakota's channel, so check it out. He puts out videos. What are you doing 4 or 5 a week? You've got your and then you've got your other stuff too.
I do 2 conversation videos a week. That's kind of long form, 2-hour. You know, I've had all sorts of people on there. I do a live stream every Friday. That seems to be very popular. And then I do other videos just kind of throughout the week. It probably ends up being anywhere from 4 to 6 pieces of content a week. So
you had FD on this past week. He's great. I met him at the National. He's such a nice guy.
I would love to meet FD, man. I stumbled upon Rolling with FD as the channel. I stumbled upon his channel some time ago. Actually, about the same time he was on your channel, but I didn't even know he was on your channel. But he's just so great and authentic. He's just a great person. Yeah. I would love to meet him someday.
Yeah, super positive. Yeah, no, I mean, he just seems like just a really sincere guy. And his channel is great too. And again, like does the vlog content, but in a different way. Like there's not anybody doing the vlog content quite like him.
I agree. When we talk about like different forms of content in the hobby, as someone who takes in a decent amount of content, I definitely found my niche. Like people I think are good at certain things, like big shows. I watch Kenneth Fornos, and I watch Ryan, Card Collector too. Right, that's what I like to watch for my big shows. For my daily, it's you and Neo. And then like I've found so many smaller, lesser known content creators that I feel like just do great jobs. And FD, man, his show stuff, I love it. His show stuff is so cool. I love it. It's so good.
Yeah, he popped off, man. I remember when he was on my channel, he had, I think, 400 subscribers when I had him on for a live stream. And then I was paying attention to it. I was watching his stuff, and then all of a sudden I saw that he had 1,000, and then now he's got 1,800. He's at like 2,000. I'm like, what did you do? He's been putting out content, but I think he had a couple that caught fire. He had a couple like vlogs that got like 30 or 40,000 views and got a bunch of looks. I was like, damn, that's awesome.
That's so good, man. I'm so happy for him. I told him the same thing. I was like, dude, I looked up, you had 1,000. I was like, right on. And then I looked back like 3 minutes later and you had 1,800. I was like, how did this happen? You know what? Yeah. But hey, he deserves it. He's such a good dude. And he's been in the hobby a long time too. He talks about doing it since he was a kid and doing it with his dad, a long time ago. And, that seems rude. I mean, he's been doing it consistently for a long time is what I mean. And yeah, he's just a great guy. So
Dakota's much better than that Brad guy. No pee breaks, no interruptions, and doesn't hog the chat. Yeah, you make some good points, Troy. Yeah, well, and that's why I've been trying to do my own live streams. I like doing Off-Centered with Brad, but then I also just like have talking to other people as well. So I definitely want to keep that going. On that note, I am going to have on Monday next week Carlos from Because I'm Carlos.
Oh, yeah.
YouTube channel. I've never had him on. He had me on his channel to talk about video games a little bit ago. But yeah, I'm excited to have Carlos on as well. He's a good dude. And he's like, I really like the when people think outside the box on like bigger picture, like you do it too, where you're looking at the hobby, but then you're also talking about just bigger picture type finance stuff, or you're correlating different things. And Carlos is a deep thinker like that as well. He's always thinking about like many different aspects, which is great.
Yeah, that dude's real smart too. I mean, yeah, I like Carlos. I enjoy his content too. Carlos is another one. And to this name right here too, Chris, and then to Carlos. Like Carlos, I like to watch his opinion stuff. I think it's really good. Chris, I mean, he's got a couple staples. He just does a lot of different things. He's more of a daily guy, and just, probably twice a week, whatever he's posting, I'm like, that seems really interesting. And I watch it and I always love it. He's such a great creator.
Yeah. I might see Chris this weekend. I'm not sure yet. He is trying to decide between the Raleigh show this coming weekend, or I think there's maybe like an Ohio show or something else he's looking into, but he might come down here. And if so, we're going to try to do some like vlog, stuff together. We'll see how that works out. But yeah, Chris is a really good dude.
I want to see you and Chris do a vlog at a show. I want to see Chris with his little baby microphone standing in front and just walking around. Oh my God.
It's like it would be like the opposite of like the Roth cards, high energy, like, we're like, so we're here at the show, like
it's the Blair Witch Project of card show lives.
I know, exactly. But you know what? Yeah, you got to throw in that weird different perspective. We're like the Addams family of bloggers.
Yeah. Cheers, Ryan. Ryan's a great dude.
Ryan. Speaking of, I need to have Ryan back on as well. I wish I could do this just for a living, to where I could just do a live stream like every single day, and then also do like my own videos and all that. Maybe one day. We'll see. Maybe. Down the road. We will see. Talking Tatis, I enjoy both of your guys' videos perspectives. It would be great if you collaborate once a month for monthly hobby recap and hangout. Yeah, it's so weird. Time just goes by. Like I was saying, I had Dakota on. It was June. I was thinking it was literally like a couple months back. It's been a couple months. We should probably do something. No, it's been like 6.
Yeah,
crazy.
Time does fly. It's crazy how it just seems to keep slipping too. It seems to be getting faster, not slower. So.
Well, and the problem too is when you try to get on, like I've also done it where there's like 4 of us on like, a live stream, but then it's hard to get everyone so everyone can talk, everyone can like throw in their 2 cents. So it's easier to do more of the one-on-one stuff, but maybe that's the way to do it, is just have it like 3 or 4 of us on at one time, and then we can catch up and do it like that.
Yeah. I found that if you're hosting more than one person, you have to direct the questions. Otherwise, it just gets crazy. So,
yeah, absolutely. The purple shirt. I know I need to work on the purple shirt. Although then I'm kind of a poser. Then I'm like copying.
No. Everyone on the channel, we appreciate people wearing purple shirts when they come on. It is much appreciated. For people who don't know, or whatever, man, I started live streaming and I like Hawaiian print shirts. And the first one I ever did, I wore a purple shirt, and everyone. Purple Hawaiian print. People went nuts. They loved it. Purple Hawaiian print, the purple shirt's what everyone called it in chat. And ever since then, every Friday live streams, a Hawaiian print, usually some shade of purple. So
that's awesome. Yeah, I like watching your margarita Friday night streams when I can catch them. A lot of times I'll catch them, the next day or whatever. I'm on like a weird sleep schedule right now where I'm like asleep at 9 and then I'm up at 3 or 4 a.m. So I'll be watching that stuff at like 4 or whatever.
Well, yeah, I'm always, when I see your video up at like 6 a.m, it's a cup of coffee and it was news that broke 30 minutes ago. I was like, I don't know how he does it. It's ridiculous.
Well, for some of those I can get it, and you probably can do it too, to where it's like, you can throw that together fairly quickly. That type of video, where you're not doing a lot of research on it. But all right, guys, we're going to make it a wrap. We've got kids to get to, and wives calling us and all that stuff. So thank you very much for joining us tonight, and we will talk to you later. Dakota, thanks for joining me, man.
Thanks for having me. Thanks, chat. You all were great as per usual.
All right. See you guys.